All right, it is time for work week weather forecast, and we have Brandon Aidlet with the National Weather Service and a new friend from our friends over there at the NWS, Joshua. Our new guy is behind the camera. So, Joshua, half a day, man. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Half a day, Merry Christmas. And Joshua, go ahead and give a little wave into the camera and say hello. We do have a number of new forecasters
There
here.
you go.
We've had quite a bit of turnover in the past several years. And so we're glad to see a kind of a resurgence of new people and new people to Guam, new people to the region.
Very nice.
So we have a lot of new faces, and over the course of the next several months into 2023, we'll definitely get some more interaction, especially with the news and just see all the good stuff that is going on out here at the Weather Forecast Office.
All right. Well, looking forward to working with the both of you. And Brandon, you used two words there. You said turnover and resurgence, and that is kind of apropos to a weather system that you guys were keeping a keen eye on the last couple of days.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to use my arbitrary red pointer. It's easy to see. But this is our typhoon tracking map that we have on the wall here in operations. And the past last week, we were watching a disturbance, JTWC Invest 92W. It was tracking near Yapam, Palau, and that eventually became a tropical depression just off the east coast of the Philippines. And Joint Typhoon Warning Center is now classifying it as a tropical storm, same as Japan Meteorological Agency. So it is named Tropical Storm Pakar. It is going to be zipping off to the northeast. And so it's going to be kind of clipping the far northwestern corner of our area of responsibility. So we may be initiating advisories later today if it pops on our side of 25 south or 25 north and 130 degrees east longitude. But ultimately, it's going to be swept away into a frontal system up to our north. It will have no direct effects on the Marianas, though. Probably the bigger concern is the frontal system, and I'll have Joshua follow me over to the weather computer. We're going to be watching a frontal system that stays well to the north, and so that's going to be generating some stronger winds up off of Okinawa and well north of the Marianas. And so ultimately, the concern for the Marianas is what that means for our seas and surf. So Joshua, if you'd like to go ahead and just get a good zoom in on the satellite imagery. So this is the latest satellite visible and infrared imagery. And so you can see there is a tropical storm up there. And so that is 20 degrees north latitude.
That looks like a big sucker too.
Latitude. Yeah, east longitude. Excuse me. I'm getting all my numbers and words mixed up.
I still don't know what Latin long is.
I know what they are, but my tongue likes to get confused every so often. But that is a massive burst of lightning right there in the center of the circulation. So that's something neat to watch out for. It could be an indication of some short-term intensification, but there is that frontal boundary all along this boundary. And so we're going to be watching that over the next several days. But ultimately, what does that mean for us is, well, we're going to see some northerly winds zipping along this frontal boundary. And those wind patterns tend to push down a little bit of northerly swell that'll come into the Marianas. And so that does increase the swell that we see along Retidian Beach, along parts of Chuman Bay, and also Ganya and the boat basin and near the Port Authority. And so that is one of the reminders to keep in mind that those rip currents will be a little bit stronger. Mm-hmm. And with that said, I would like to give you just kind of an update on the latest advisories that we have for the Marianas. We are still looking at a high surf advisory and a high risk of rip currents. That means surf of 7 to 9 feet across the Marianas on north-facing shores through this evening. And then also for the east-facing reefs, we're looking at surf of 9 to 11 feet. So that would result in a high risk of rip currents. So if you have any swimming plans, definitely take note where you plan to go out into the water. North-facing reefs and also east-facing reefs, there are going to be some strong and dangerous rip currents. And so we want you to exercise safety. The season swell and surf will be coming down a little bit the next couple of days, but still we're looking at combined seas of about 7 to 9 feet, dropping about a foot by midweek. But then we're looking at another trade wind surge coming up beginning Thursday. And so there's winds, swell, and surf are going to come back up by late week. So we could be looking at another round of high surf advisories, or at least a high risk of rip currents, but possibly also small craft advisories if we see those winds exceeding 22 knots or combined seas exceeding 10 feet. Weather-wise, we are in a trade wind dominant pattern. We're getting another taste of the dry season. So if you look out here from the Marianas out to Wake Island, there is just nothing. We just see these little patches of clouds. This is typical of the dry season. So we will see little passing showers, but they will have very little accumulation. These showers are very low, maybe up to 10,000 feet. Still liquid cloud cover. They're moving fairly briskly, so we're not going to see much rainfall accumulation. Most of the weather tends to stay down in Micronesia from Palau and Yap across Chuuk, Pohnpei, Kostroi, and Madro. That's where you're seeing a lot of thunderstorms and these little pop-up windows. But we're going to see showers and thunderstorms stay well to the south, while the Mariana stays dominated by a dry trade wind pattern.
All right. Well, before I let you go, Brandon, it's the holidays and we got, I wish I could give you more time, but what was up with the thunder last night? That was nuts.
Yes. That was one of those little trade wind disturbances that decided to give us a nice little late evening surprise. Not really a surprise. We've been looking at it for a couple of days in the models, but you can see where those thunderstorms have shifted off to the west of the Marianas. So we're looking at that possibility, just a small uptick in showers, and there was a couple of heavy showers that moved over the island, and especially that type of rainfall is useful to have on occasion because we're seeing our drought indices starting to climb, and so that is typical for this time of year as we start seeing those heavier rainfalls, the wet season subsiding, and so the concern starts to be that growing fire danger, the combination of dry weather and increased winds. So yesterday's rain was quite plentiful and beneficial to at least slowing that drying trend that we see across the swordgrass in the southern mountains. But still, as we head into the next couple of months, the growing concern will be that fire danger increasing.
All right. Well, there's two more words as we conclude that I always love: growing and swordgrass. That's when I know I'm in the South. Nice tall Sakati. That's Southern charm right there. All right, Brandon, we appreciate it. Joshua, good to meet you, man. We look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much, Jason.
he's a man of many words, but I'm sure we'll have an in-depth dialogue. Like the more we head into next year. So we appreciate you guys, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Have a Merry Christmas. See you next week.
All right, likewise.